Hey, how's everyone doing today? I hope everybody had a good week. Gonna do a little crypto update here, talk about Bitcoin price action in relation to FUD with Grayscale. We'll cover some groundbreaking news in Wyoming, and we'll go over some legislation in the United States that should put some clarification on the cryptocurrency classification as a commodity. Say that 10 times fast. So, first, we'll talk about Bitcoin price action with some Grayscale FUD. This is the 24-hour chart. You can see here in the last few hours here and here, the bears are trying to floor the price down below that $31,500 support level. The bulls have stepped in to kind of keep that support level going, but we'll have to see what happens. If they do break downward, I could see like a high 20,000, maybe like $27,000, $28,000 range. If the bulls can maintain, I think we'd see a little bit of a bounce back up to like that 34,000 range. And overall, like I said in my last video, I think it's just going to chop sideways for the next few months. Although you see quite a bit of chop earlier in the month. A lot of compression in the last few days. Compression sometimes, not always, can lead to a very violent outbreak, either up or down. So it's kind of interesting to keep an eye on that. But part of the FUD coming in with the price being driven down is with Grayscale Investments. Grayscale Investments has a Bitcoin trust. Grayscale is the world's biggest digital asset management firm. They basically take a digital asset and market it to their customers so that their customers can purchase digital asset without actually being exposed to the volatility of owning the digital asset directly. They take accredited investors and they buy shares of the fund, in this case Bitcoin, and the accredited investors get it right at market value. They buy it in private placements and sell it on the secondary market to retail investors after a 6-month lockup period. So that lockup period is expiring today and I believe some on Tuesday, and people are kind of worried that these investors are just going to dump the shares, causing the price to go down. Now, an accredited investor is defined under the U.S. Securities Act. We'll get into that in a second. The retail investor, that's you and I. That's your regular everyday investor. So if you're going through an investment firm like Grayscale and you're getting into this Bitcoin trust to buy Bitcoin, you're going to be paying Grayscale first to be their customer, and then you're going to be paying an accredited investor to sell you their share after the 6-month lockup period after they've taken their profits. I'm not sure why you would pay two people ahead of you to take profit on your money when you could just invest in Bitcoin or any asset, digital or otherwise. Why would you pay two people to take their profit before you even get your hands on the final product? I don't know. Other than, simply put, you can get Bitcoin or an asset without the hassle and the stress. Ease is basically the main seller for most of these firms. I think that the financial scene, all of the financial institutions like to keep things difficult. They like to word things difficult so that average everyday investors just think that they can't compete, they can't understand it, therefore they'll just pay somebody to do it for them, and then these investment firms can make their money. Definitely not the route I choose. If you are an accredited investor, you can get much better rates, though. But according to the United States Securities Act 1933, Rule 1, Regulation D, that is somebody who can show annual income of at least $200,000 or a combined spousal income of $300,000 for the past 2 years, with the expectation of receiving the same or more during the current year. So if you've gone 3 years strong, making over $200,000, or you and your spouse making over $300,000, you can be an accredited investor. I don't know anybody that meets that guideline, and I certainly don't meet that guideline, so I just choose to invest on my own. It is, I guess, more risky doing my own investing. I don't have that, I guess, security of having an investment firm selling me a watered down version of the asset. So there's less volatility, but there's going to be less profit in the long run. So, anyways, none of this is financial advice, kind of getting off track. That's part of the FUD, though, with the Bitcoin price action. We'll just have to wait and see which way the price decides to jump. Since I've been doing this video, I've seen it as low as 31.5. I've seen it as high as 31.8. So it's just kind of bouncing a couple $100 either way. The other news with Wyoming, it is literally groundbreaking. They have approved a bank for a crypto exchange known as Kraken. Kraken will become America's first crypto bank. Wyoming very much wants to be the crypto capital of the U.S., and they definitely have put themselves at the forefront over all the other states. So Wyoming granted Kraken an SPDI, a Special Purpose Depository Institution label. So Kraken will be able to hold custody over digital assets for their customers, operate payment systems, allow their customers to swap between crypto and fiat currencies, pay bills, receive their salaries, utilize crypto debit and credit cards, and eventually get into staking, all through the guise of a banking institution. However, Kraken cannot issue loans using customer deposits. Wyoming law will require Kraken to maintain all customer reserves at all times. So it will not be FDIC insured. However, Kraken has its own insurance fund for covering the money involved. And there are certain provisions in that Wyoming statute that will allow Kraken to facilitate customer-directed lending. So that could look like, a customer opting in or out of having their money utilized by the bank to make money. Current banking institutions, for example, if you take a $10,000 deposit into a savings account and you're earning 0.5% on that $10,000, that bank will take your money and loan it out to somebody else at a 15% rate and cut all of that profit off of the 15% and put it in their pocket and then give you a nice little 0.5% for you loaning them their money. Kind of like a scam legally. So it would be interesting to see if Kraken as a bank will allow higher APY percentages for customer-directed lending or not. Otherwise, it'll just be making money on traditional income, such as wire fees, bank-to-bank transfers, and offering wealth management classes and other services. They do have plans to apply for a license at the Federal Reserve, which will bring the Fed supervision and direct access to the Fed, which should cut out third-party banks as far as fiat currency transactions if you're dealing directly with the Fed. So, a lot to go there. This actually came out last year. You can see this article is from September. This article is definitely more recent, here last June. There's actually 2 banks that have been implemented. Kraken will be for more of your retail or everyday American investors such as myself. The second bank, I think, was Avanti, which is going to be for more of your investment fund level or your accredited investor level. But they're definitely getting more industry coming to the state for crypto, which is neat. Here is the U.S. legislation. It's a bipartisan bill that would classify Bitcoin and digital assets as a commodity. This is actually much more exciting than anything else I've ever talked about on this channel, in my opinion, because if we can actually get cryptocurrency classified as a commodity, that would be huge. The SEC came out and said that crypto is treated like property, and then they've turned around and sued cryptocurrency such as XRP for operating as securities without registering. So they're really not sure, is it a security, is it property, is it a commodity, what is it? And the uncertainty of that regulation has definitely stifled the asset industry's growth in the U.S. That was said by Emmer. Tom Emmer is representative from Minnesota. There's also Darren Soto from Florida and Ro Khanna from California. Having bipartisanship on this bill, I think, is very important, especially for as divided as everybody is politically. With cryptocurrency, you've seen in one of my previous videos the Republican campaign accepting crypto donations. I definitely think the Democratic side campaign will do the same thing. So having a bipartisan bill, I think will definitely help push things through. And as I mentioned, once the uncertainty gets cleared up on the regulations, I think you will see more industry start in the United States rather than starting in Canada or European and Asian countries and then branching to the US. I think you'll see more start in the US branching outward, which will be really, really good for the economy. Um, I've told people this before, and I still believe it true today. I think investing in cryptocurrency right now is like getting in on some of these tech firms back in the 80s, like Microsoft. I think that it's really going to take off over the next decade plus. So it's really exciting to see, the mass adoption going on. If we can definitely improve on the clarification and the regulation, I think that will have a lot of positive effect in the long term. Classifying these digital assets as a commodity will be huge. Get them away from being classified as securities. That's going to open up so much, so many beneficial aspects. I mean, tax harvesting, tax loss harvesting. I'll try to make a video about that as a commodity instead of a security. That would be huge. Huge. So, a lot of good news. Like I said, price action is going to be sketch for the next few months. I'm not really too worried about it dipping down below 30,000. I'm not really too excited about it hitting 40,000 because I think we're just going to range for the next few months. Definitely be keeping my eye on the bank, see how I can utilize that for my own personal life, as well as this bill coming through, putting forth crypto as a commodity. That could definitely help with my taxes for the coming years. So we'll just keep an eye on everything. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and have a good week.